everybody. Welcome to the CEWL Beans podcast. So, welcome everybody. So, guys, can you believe this is our very last podcast before the summer? Oh man, I can't believe it's the last one. It just seems like yesterday we just started our very first episode and now we're at our last one. So,
Right. I
again,
believe this is episode 5, right, Angelica?
yes, about episode 5 or 6. I'm an English teacher, so I know I'm bad with my math sometimes. But I believe this is our 5th or 6th episode. Can you guys believe it's the last one already? Wow.
I
Wow.
can't believe it, but I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And of course, I just want to thank my amazing co-hosts, Marcella and Todd. You guys have been amazing. This podcast would not have been able to happen without you guys. So I've learned a lot from you both, even though I'm a new teacher and you guys, of course, are the veterans, but we learned a lot from each other. So it's been a fun ride talking to you guys every other month.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are so thrilled to have you as our co-host, and we too learned so much from you. So thank you for doing all that you do to support teachers in South Carolina.
Because we are, again, a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up the school year, we're getting ready for summer. Me and my kids already have a countdown, 23 days for us. It depends, I guess, your school year. But as we get ready for the summer, there's a lot of things, to reflect on. So maybe you had a good year, maybe you had a not so great year. But before we go straight into the summer, it's the time right now to reflect. And I know a lot of testing and everything is going on, but it's a time to kind of reflect. And this is what this podcast is about. So how do you get ready for that summer break? So the first question I just want to kind of throw out to everyone. So how do you reflect on the past year and gain insights and set goals for the new one or for the upcoming year? So what do you guys normally do to kind of reflect on the past year and gain insights and goals for the next one?
Marcel?
Okay, so for me, we gave the title of this podcast Finish Strong, right? And so for me, that means sort of looking back at what happened during the year, like what happened, what I succeeded in, what lessons I learned, and then reflecting about, what I went through that made me actually a different person or what helped me to grow. But I do know that in everything that you do, when you reflect on the year, you have to appreciate your progress during the year. And sometimes that means coming to terms with like what happened, coming to terms with the experiences that you had, what were the experiences that actually made you stronger, and then sort of using that knowledge to plan for a better year.
Definitely.
Yeah. When I was teaching, I used at the end of a year and sort of the transition to a new year as an opportunity to really do deep reflection on my practice, what really worked, so that I can try to repeat those successes, and what was something that didn't work quite so well, or something that I need to like really think about doing differently, and then do the research and do the work to prepare for that. But I also want to encourage teachers to do this as well, because I know it's really hard on a teacher's salary. Certainly teachers are one of the most underpaid professions. So a lot of the time I was having to work multiple jobs over the summer. And it's really hard to say no to that, especially when you have bills to pay. But I really want to encourage teachers to really make time for yourself to just step away from classroom concerns over the summer. That is a huge, in order to sustain a full career, you just can't grind it out year after year after year. So really take time to step away, because that actually stepping away is part of what I think the brain needs, and what we need as human beings to sort of recharge our enthusiasm for the profession. If we're stay on that grind all summer long and then go right into another school year, and you keep repeating that year after year, it's really easy to get burned out. So stake out some time for yourself if you can, and really be intentional about how you choose to work or engage in anything other than rest and just your own self-care over the summer.
Definitely. And I agree with both of you guys. And those are really great advice. And I'll even add, especially um, as you're reflecting on the past year. You don't even have to wait till the end of the year. You'll like add those reflections throughout. So I know one time, I can't remember what podcast, but I talk about your glows and grows.
Mhm.
But what is probably best, since you're making those glows and grows throughout the year, take them all together, get the journal, and then I guess make your big glow and grow. So kind of tying off what Marcella was saying. So what did you know that you did very well? What do you know you can grow in? And during the summer too, even though we're taking a step back, but that's also time to kind of, you know, not really do, you can kind of do your own professional development or even personal development, because sometimes you don't really need the focus on the professional side, but maybe your personal development. So
Right.
even though maybe you were doing good in the classroom, but you notice I get angry a lot, I really need to work on my patience, or maybe I get stressed out very quickly. So what are some things maybe during the summer I can just help with my own personal development, maybe with my own mental health? And I know, like what you said, Todd, like sometimes you have to get that job. Like for me, like sometimes I have to do summer school, but what I like about my district, it's only 3 weeks and it's only Monday through Thursday. So those Fridays and the weekends, we're free. And really, we don't have to teach, they have their own program. So at least that kind of gives me a little break. But of course, when you're doing summer school, you're still in the school building. But whenever you can get that break, whenever you can just go outside or maybe spending time with family or doing the things maybe you wanted to do. And I encourage the teachers, find maybe a different hobby too. So if you are doing a side gig, maybe something that doesn't really have to do with teaching. So that can kind of, so maybe, you're teaching, but maybe, like instead of tutoring, maybe tutoring something else that's outside your subject, something that kind of gets your mind off of teaching for a little bit until, you're getting ready back for that school year. But anything to kind of, get your mind off of school so you won't be as stressed and overwhelmed. And also don't think because you had maybe a not so great year this year that the next year is going to repeat itself. So don't always think one year is going to be like the next year. Because I made that mistake. I was stressed out the second year thinking it's going to be like first year, but actually it was better. It had other challenges, but it was much better.
Yeah.
Don't always hold on to the past. You can, always look forward to the future.
Absolutely.
Um,
I like to say reflect and reset,
yeah.
because even at the end of the year, you have to think about it. Simply put, endings matter, right? They
Mhm.
matter a lot. So they have a huge influence basically on what your experiences are. So, for example, if you and your best friend go see a movie, what do you talk about when you leave the movie? The ending, right? It's always, I can't believe that ending, or why did that producer end the movie that way, or who produced this crap? So endings matter. So how things end are what we remember, and so I think it's very important for us to reflect on the year.
Definitely, because every year there is an ending, so it doesn't repeat until the next time.
Right. So that sometimes it determines like whether or not we're going to roll into the new year feeling confident and
Mhm.
refreshed or capable, or whether or not it's going to be sort of like a sluggish start because, we didn't think we had a good year, but we didn't take the time to properly reflect and appreciate our growth
Mm.
from
Definitely.
yes.
I like how you said, appreciating the growth, because everyone, you always have some sort of growth, even if it's something terrible happened. But what did you learn from that? And like my grandma likes to say, if you fail a test, you're going to have to keep repeating it over and over. So, what did you learn from the test that you went through, and how can you improve and do better? And that also takes from, talking to other people, um, talking to maybe other teachers too, and kind of getting that that advice as well. And sometimes you just need to talk to someone just to get out your own brain, because sometimes when we're in this situation we only see one perspective until you talk to other people as well, and that has helped me a lot throughout my years of teaching.
Absolutely.
And kind of speaking of stress, so as we're getting near the end of the year, so I know with me, testing is coming up. Those EOC, some other teachers have, maybe SC ready, all those tests are coming up. So how do you guys navigate the end of the year to be stress free while prioritizing self-care at the same time? So that's kind of maybe a little tough question, but what do you guys have?
Self-care. And I know Todd is the guru of self-care here, but it's something that we know it's often overlooked, especially when we're so busy going through the busyness of life and school and work and all of that. But I think that taking care of ourselves is essential if we want to be effective teachers. So, whether it's getting enough sleep or taking breaks throughout the day, or just engaging in activities, anything that's going to bring you joy. I think prioritizing self-care is non-negotiable. So repeat after me. Self-care isn't selfish.
Ooh, self-care isn't
Self-care
selfish.
isn't selfish. And I think, especially with educators, we need to think about that, because sometimes we think that if we take the time to take care of ourselves, that we are, you know, um, we're forgetting about other things, or we're dropping the ball, but we have to
Mhm.
take care of ourselves. You can't take care of others if you can't take care of yourself. So,
Yeah.
so self-care isn't selfish.
I had to
So,
write that down to remind
yes.
myself.
So I'd like to schedule regular breaks, or other activities. Me, I like to have like a little dance party. So if I've been
Yes.
working for about an hour and a half, then I'll just pop on my headphones and listen to some music and dance around the house or something. But I like to have dance parties, anything that's going to recharge me.
I do the exact same thing, Marcella, mostly on, when I get home, play my little music, dance a little bit, and that
See?
it does help. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm glad I'm
And
not
just
the only
share
person who
it.
does that.
No. So I heard, I forgot where this quote's from. I always forget, and I should get to know her name. But there's someone who said that self care is not just like eating chocolate and taking bubble baths. It's building a life that you don't have to regularly escape from. And,
Mm.
and what I would encourage teachers to do, we're doing this with the SCEA, and we talk about creating the kind of schools that educators and students deserve. And I was visiting some schools this past week in Virginia that really do prioritize self care for teachers. And there needs to be a collective effort on behalf of teachers to, first of all, you mentioned testing, first of all, to recognize that not to drink the Kool-Aid. Diane Ravitch said, don't drink the Kool-Aid. It's not, the testing is, we understand you can't ignore it, that you are being judged by it. But don't tie your own worth as a teacher to the test, and don't tie your students' worth and their success to one particular test. You don't have to buy that into that just because maybe your school or your district does. You can sort of see it for what it is. It's a snapshot, and it's helpful information about where your students are, but it's overemphasized, and it creates a really weird dynamic in our schools where we start to focus on that too much, to the detriment of many other things that we need. So,
Mhm.
but we have to work together to build to a type of school system, and that starts really in your classroom, because every teacher can control the culture of their classroom by taking care of themselves and modeling for young people how to manage stress, how to live a compassionate life, how to be patient and kind. So you can create that culture in your classroom with your co-create it with your students. But then, you have to team up and organize at the building level if you really want to impact school-wide and district-wide culture. And
Mhm.
that means really stepping up together collectively to say, here are some things that aren't working for us. And here's some things that we feel like we could do to sort of humanize this process of educating young people, and working with school leadership and district leadership to create a more humane environment. So that's what I mean. Like, self-care is, it starts with saying no to things and starting to set boundaries. It's not another thing that you're adding to your plate, because some teachers already have enough on their plate. It's
Mhm.
actually having the courage to say no, and to live with intention, and to intentionally bring in the activity into your life that is going to be nourishing to you on a physical, mental, social, emotional, in those ways. And that when you do that and you live from that type of intentional living, you're actually modeling for students, and students don't have enough models for living intentionally. I heard
Mhm.
somebody use the word life-centric. We need life-centric teachers, life-centric schools and districts, and that starts with you as a classroom teacher, um, demanding that for yourself and then modeling that for others.
Yeah, I like how you said sometimes you just have to say no to things. And I had to learn that very quickly my first year. So like the first year, I definitely did not do summer school because I knew for my personal help, I couldn't do it that first year. But the next year and after that, I've been, doing summer school, but then also learning how to say no to certain things, even if I felt pressure about it. But
Yeah.
literally I had to practice in the mirror because I know a lot of, young teachers are dealing with anxiety and stuff. If you have to practice in the mirror, just look at your face or pretend you're someone else. One person I talked to, they say they psych themselves out by pretending they are like the evil queen or whatever. Anything to kind of help you, because sometimes people will just expect teachers to just say yes to everything because we are those civil servants. But
Mhm.
just practice in the mirror. No, no. All right. But you can say no in a kind way. It's not what you say,
Right.
but how you say it.
Right.
And then also maybe you can't do this at this time doesn't mean you're saying no to everything, because a lot of people are afraid that if they say no, that it shuts down all opportunities. So always make sure, like, even I'm saying no to this, it doesn't mean I can't do something later on. It's just at this moment, at this time in my life, I just have so much going on. And
Yes.
so that is also tying to, your self-care. And also what I think helps out with self-care, and I like how you also said you have to model that for our students. So if
Mhm.
you know testing is going to be very stressful for you, but don't always, you can be honest with students like, hey, I know this is going to be very stressful, but how can we do work with this together? Because you're also looking to us as well. What I'm noticing the last few days, a lot, me and my classes are kind of getting a little, I guess, silly a little bit, but it's been kind of helping us with the stress of the tests that's kind of coming up. So I'm noticing we are laughing a lot. I
Mhm.
don't know what we are laughing about half the time, but it's been kind of helping with the stress because, like someone says, like
Mhm.
laughter is like the best medicine.
Mhm.
It's kind of finding those fun moments in class and just taking maybe something mundane and boring and kind of flipping it. How can you kind of make it fun? Even though we're in school, but what are some things you kind of make it fun instead of, doing a worksheet? How can we make this into a game? Or, just changing things up. And sometimes just changing things up in the classroom just helps with the stress level. But I like what my cousin said. He said, if I can make a kid smile or laugh at least once, I did something. So maybe just finding that time in class where you can have a good laugh or do something maybe silly. Like one time I had my kids, I said, okay, guys, I know we're about to take this test, but let's all stand up. We stood up, we did a stretch. They did a little silly move at first because, high schoolers, they don't want to act, unseemly in front of their friends. But if I do something silly, they'll follow along and they just started laughing and we had a good time. And then we just went ahead and did our work. So sometimes you just have like, I know with elementary, they call it brain breaks, I think. I
Mhm.
can't remember, but you can do the same thing in high school. You don't always have to be, worksheet, let's do this. Sometimes just having those silly moments, and you'll notice that will help you as well.
Yeah.
And then just, I like how you said, Marcella, self-care isn't selfish. And just, if you're able to show that you're giving yourself self-care, those students will be able to see that because they're also learning as well.
I
So
also
the
like the other examples that you all shared, like setting boundaries. I think that's key, and
Mhm,
delegating tasks when possible. That's something else that's gonna help you. But what's most important is that for all of us to remember that self-care is gonna look different for everyone. It's gonna
mhm,
look different for me than you, than Todd, and everyone else. So, what works for one person may not work for another. But the key is to find what makes us feel recharged, what makes us
mhm.
feel rejuvenated, especially when those things get hectic.
Yeah.
Because like for some people, it's just getting Starbucks on a Friday. That's my little self-care on a Friday. Well, more on a Thursday. I just like to
Mm.
get my little Starbucks or my, coffee that I didn't make myself. It's just something sometimes a little bit small.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
once we get to that break, what do you guys do to make the most of your time off? I know for my district, we have a year-long schedule, so our summer is super duper short, but we have more breaks in between. But how do you guys try to make the most of your time off whenever you get your time off?
Sleep.
That's all you laugh about.
For me, sleep is very important. But honestly, though, I try to prioritize relaxing. So I'm a beach bum. I like to go to the beach. I like
Ooh.
to go to the Atlantic Ocean and just sit and unwind. Something as simple as that. Just relax. I also love arts and crafts, even though I'm not really that crafty, but I like to do it. But, just trying something new. Like if I see something on social media, TikTok, like, creating something, I like to try it. Oh, I'm going to try that, but I like to do that. Interior design, reading a book, just, yeah. I'm not more of the garden type. I don't have a green thumb, so that won't work for me. But like I said, just relaxing, doing nothing.
Mm,
That's really good advice, Marcella, because society tells us that if you're doing nothing, that you're falling behind or that you're being lazy or It's like there's this great book I read about the importance of rest. And music, if you look at music has notes and rests.
Mhm.
And if you just have notes with no rests, it just sounds awful. So there are these moments of time when you're playing in a band or whatever, where you've got music to play, and then there can be pauses.
Mm.
We need to think of our career as, we're playing music, and then there needs to be these times for pauses. And that the culture, there's this whole thing around grinding and grind culture that I don't think we need to buy into. That where rest is, to me, a form of liberation, and it's a form of really staking out freedom in your life to just honor your needs as a human being.
Mhm.
When we get in the habit of just constantly doing, filling it up with even with things that we enjoy, like gardening or travel or feeling, I think what that is sometimes is a way of coping. They activate something called the task positive network, and it's a way of shifting out of their rumination that they have about their lives or problems that they're having. So they make themselves busy all the time as a coping strategy. And when you get these people to have to stop and be quiet and just sort of do nothing, it almost drives them crazy, because then they don't have that escape. So it's really learning how to be comfortable with doing nothing too, which when you go through an entire school year, you're so busy that
Mhm.
that shift to doing nothing can be so abrupt. So it's almost kind of like, scuba divers have to kind of come up slowly or they get the bends. It's like we have to kind of acclimate into a period of time of rest, but to really honor that need for rest, and not let your brain convince you or do the self-judgment thing that really I should get another job, or I should really be doing more around the house. I should take up this project and do this and go visit this. It's like, no, you can do nothing, and that's perfectly normal, and it's actually what will sustain your career and put you in a good place for the following year.
Yeah.
Well, you don't
I
have to tell
love
me
that
that.
analogy to musicality. Love it.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice about doing nothing during the summer. Because that's literally what I do. Well, this summer I'm more busy, but I'm actually doing things I'm enjoying. So I love, of course, even though our summers are short, but I try to take like small breaks to go different places. So like traveling is like my therapy. I just like to go and just see different things, whether it's just like a small trip here or there, but just going out or going somewhere. But then when I'm there, I'm just relaxing or just looking at things. So anything to kind of get my mind off of course, school for a little bit. Or
Mhm.
sometimes even when I'm some places, sometimes I get ideas for school, and it's not a bad thing. Like a lot of people think, oh, you can never turn like my brain is turned off for certain things, but sometimes you get a cool idea, write it down,
Yeah.
put it up. Then when it's the first week of school, I don't know what to do. Look
Mhm.
back at what I wrote. I was like, oh, that was actually a good idea. I had that one moment, that epiphany, and I can use it for later.
Yeah,
But
we've
mainly,
all seen teachers who, excuse me, we
go
all seen
ahead.
teachers who I've seen too many teachers get in the habit of going back to the building frequently over the summer and feeling like there's more that they need to do, or like filling it up with professional development, or feeling like they've got to go to this training and that training. And that may work for some teachers, but for a lot of people, that's not going to work to
Mhm.
sustain a 30 plus year career. So it's like it's just not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think early career educators sometimes forget that it's like, pace yourself.
Mhm.
A long career ahead.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything, and keep that momentum going throughout the summer. Like, you can actually take this time off.
Definitely, and just breathe a little bit and just enjoy life, because life is outside of the classroom. Like we tell our
Mhm.
students, we're preparing them for outside the classroom. We also have to remember our lives are outside the classroom. Even if you don't technically like have a family or you're not married or whatever, but you can still there's still things out there for you to do. And sometimes you just have to find that. And sometimes even during the summer, that's the time for your own self-discovery. Because like I was telling my students, we were working on a book, we were talking about identity and how we were talking about, of course, the Holocaust and how they gave them one identity, like they were just Jewish and that was it.
Mhm.
And so I had them all do their own identity maps. I'm like, who are you? Are you more than just a student? I know you guys just see me as a teacher and you think I just sit here and just teach all
Mhm.
day, but I don't live at school. But I'm more than just a teacher. There's other things I can do. But I've noticed with a lot of young teachers that they think a teacher is their only identity. I'm only a teacher. No, you're more than, of course, our job is important, but you're more than just a teacher. Maybe you're a baker, maybe you're a podcaster, maybe so your identity is not one thing. There's multiple facets of you. So sometimes during the summer, it's just self-discovery. Maybe you're going to try baking and you burn everything up. Okay, you're not a baker. Do something else,
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the time to kind of play around and everything. So, well, I'm trying to. Okay, sorry. My computer just, lost all my questions and everything. I'm sorry, guys.
Corey.
No worries.
But again, thank you guys for joining us on our Cool Beans. So, of course, we had a lot of good advice about this end of the school year. I know testing is coming up. Some of you guys are ending off the school year. I know with my kids, we are marking down the days and everything. But before we kind of end off, Todd and Marcella, do you guys have anything to promote that is coming up for us?
Yes, absolutely. So, first, I'd like to promote Cool Coaching. So, please note that we are still available every Tuesday and Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. The lovely Angie Brush and Stephanie Johnson and myself, we are available to help any induction teacher, any teacher actually, who needs assistance. So if you need assistance, please join us, and you could log on via Zoom, or if you just have a quick question and you want to submit it to Dare Cool Coach, you could choose to do that as well. We look forward to seeing a lot of you join our session.
I have a couple of things. One is our educator mindfulness retreats. And this is where we really do give you a lot of autonomy around your retreat experience. This is a secular, science-based, trauma-sensitive retreat. We just had one space open up for our June 12th through 14th retreat. And then we're doing a second retreat, and there's one space left there. That's the 26th and 28th of June. It's in Old Fort, North Carolina, at a place called Indigo Nature Retreat. It's beautiful. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful place. You're there with just other educators. We cap the event at 10 people per retreat, and then there's 2 facilitators. We do yoga, we do mindfulness practices, we build community. It's not sit and get. It's really just a relaxing experience. And an opportunity for you to really renew and reconnect with why you got an education in the first place, and just a sense of feeling some stress relief. And then we also have this event coming up July 11th, which is our trauma informed education workshop. So Rona Neely, who Marcella and I worked with at Sarah, Rona's going to be kicking things off with a story about her experience with trauma and how she's healed it through relationships, through teachers and other people in her life that have helped her heal. And then Karen Beeman and Jennifer Dollar are from Columbia College. They operate their master's in trauma-informed education program. And so we're going to be talking about that from 10 to 3 at the SCEA headquarters. We'll give you free lunch, and we will give you a certificate for attendance. And you can learn more about that master's program. And it is free for members of the SCEA, and that retreat is only $150 for members of the SCEA. It includes your accommodations, your meals, all the training and everything in a book. So it's $40 for the trauma-informed education workshop for non-members, and $250 for the retreat for non-members. So another reason to consider joining the SCEA, and you can do that right now during early enrollment. You can actually join at no cost until September. Right now, if you've not done early enrollment before, you just go to jointhescea.org, and you can join right now, and you won't pay any dues until September. And then you can be a part of our movement to create the kind of schools that all educators and students deserve.
So guys, definitely join the SCEA, because again, as you're seeing here with the Cool, that again, there's so many resources for you, for young teachers, for veteran teachers, because again, we're all trying to come together and assist each other. So don't forget about the Cool Coaching, the different workshops are available, because again, we are here to assist you. We want you guys to have a long career in education. You don't have to quit your first year. You can continue, because again, you have a support system behind you. But again, does anyone have any last words or anything on our very last podcast? I can't believe, again, it's the last one.
Thank you, Angelica, for doing this. I know you've had a busy year in the classroom, and for you to take the time out to do this podcast with us, we really appreciate you making time for it and doing such a great job.
Yes, we really appreciate you. Thanks so much for co-hosting with me, Angelica and Todd. We look forward to seeing everyone in August.
Yes, yes. So bye, everyone. And again, thank you guys for everything.
Bye.